So I'm going to create a virtual machine from a template. I got a template here in my library, but this is not actually where I'm going to start. I'm going to go up to my VMs and services. What I'm going to do is create a new virtual machine. Um, Click here, create a virtual machine. This is actually how you would also start if you needed to create it already. So I'm going to create it from a template. So I'm not going to create blank. I'm going to create from a template. Either using I could do this using a virtual hard disk or a template or a machine that already exists. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to choose a template. And so I've got these options here. I've got in terms of VHDs, I've got small and large. I've got the VHDX for my Windows Server 2016 device. I've got paths for all of them. What I'm going to do is choose this template. So I'm going to choose this light duty template here and click OK. And so it's populated. I click Next. And I'm going to give it a new machine name. I'm going to call this one Grades Server. I'm not going to do anything else with it. Now, the thing is that with a template, if you're creating a template from a VM, you destroy the VM. If you're creating a VM from a template, you still have the template. It's like a mold. If you were to say, almost like a recipe, almost a framework, like if you were doing 3D printing, additive manufacturing, the recipe, the instructions on how to churn out a new copy of whatever it is, say a little plastic gear or whatnot, that's your template. So, and I'm going to skip, okay, configure my hardware. Let's see. And I'm going to make sure that my light duty profile is there. Actually, you know what, here, let's see, CPU profile. So my CPU, something did not work here because, okay, so I'm going to actually choose my light duty profile, light duty hardware now. I couldn't choose it when I was building the template, but I can choose it here. And that will actually turn my memory weight down, my CPU priority down. So it didn't quite work the way I was expecting, but it still can work. And then you can click Next. And the next thing it's going to do is asking me about the OS. I've got my admin password. I've got my product key. I've got my Win20. So this is my server base. My server base option. Good. And then click Next. I don't need any extensions right now because we're not going to do this with Azure. I'm going to select my destination. I'm going to put it on all hosts. Click Next. And I'm going to click. It's going to do the ratings thing again. It's going to look at whether or not the available targets can handle the new system. And I've got a middle-of-the-road rating. It sees some virtual machines there already. It knows it's running Hyper-V, data center, virtualization is up to date. There's no warnings. It'll be a network type transfer, even though it's a local machine. And let's see. It may ask me to select a path. Okay, computer name type. Okay, so we're here at configure settings. If you're following along in the text, this is now activity 612, step 11. There's really it didn't select a path for me, so I'm going to call this grades. SRV. SRV is kind of the shorthand for server. One might expect SVR, but it's really SRV. And let me see, networking is fine, fiber channel is fine. Okay. The virtual machine location is going into my Microsoft Data Hyper-V. That's fine. If I wanted to put it someplace else, I could do that. So I'm going to click Next. That was actually kind of step 10. Let's see. Click the ... button. Because there's really no VM network. That's okay. Host network adapter. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Click Next. I might have to do something with these to expose these VMs to the broader network. Add properties. You don't need to do anything here, so it's not going to start the VM. If the VM server stops, it's going to save its state. Say, for example, if you choose turn on if running when server stopped, that will more or less try to bring it back to the state it was in before all this work, before the device stopped. But we don't want it, because this is just a practice. This is not something that needs to stay up all the time. Now, if you have a server with a whole bunch of VMs on it that need to be running if the server is running, then you might set them to turn on if the physical server stopped. And you also have options like save the state, turn off the VM, shut down the guest OS. Save state is your best option. So if it loses everything, you can bring it back up. Shut down the guest OS. This might take time. Turning off the virtual machine is just like pulling the plug. And as with most modern operating systems, that's not really a good idea. We're not going to exclude it from optimization. Click Next. And we're not going to start the VM after deploying. So let's look at that script for just a second. So we've got, as before, we've got a pile of, in this case, relatively simple PowerShell code. Some variables which are populating using get commandlets and some set commandlets, some new commandlets, etc. So, boom. So there's that. And so like I said, I will not start the VM. I'll create it. And then now we'll actually see the jobs workspace. It is creating this server. Actually, if I were to do this, actually, let me close the jobs workspace right quick, if it will let me. Because what I can do is go into the jobs workspace inside SCVMM and see the granular description of what it's doing. I would rather look at that than this. Okay. And it's not responding. So, as the text notes, this could take a while. Creating the template from the VM took the best part of 30 minutes. So let's go to jobs. And you can actually see it. It's trying to build it now. You can see it in your VMs and services. We can also see it in jobs. So I've had a bit of difficulty. The VMM console kind of hung up and crashed on me. probably 10 minutes ago. I'm going to go see if I can get it back, and maybe to see if this VM creation from template has actually worked while it was being difficult. I actually had to pause the virtual machine and start it up again and close a bunch of things. There was a bunch of stuff running in the background, and apparently I was asking too much of it. So we shall see if it comes back. So it's about 83% complete now. I'm not going to go try to look any more closely at it right now because it gave me such issues before. But if I really wanted to, I could go look at the jobs. Actually, let me try this slowly. See, what I'm going to do here is crank this up, click that. See, okay, so this is what it's doing, essentially. There's actually a fair amount of so there's some similarities really between what it was doing before and what it's doing now. Of course, we didn't get to watch each individual step in 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. There may have been more, but as we can see, what it's working on now is start the VM for customization. It's attaching an ISO file. It's creating an ISO file with the unattended XML, say for the information we gave it. And it has been going now for about 20 minutes, which roughly comports with the advice that we've got in the lab. I'm going to pause it again here and come back when it's good and done, so you can see how long this takes all told. Now this may have taken a little bit longer because my system got a little unstable. I may have been trying to do too much. Actually having the other VM running might be causing kind of a problem here because I've only got 12 gigs of RAM in this thing. Obviously, if you're doing this in the real world, you need as much as possible. 8 or 12 or 20. I would say 16 is the very bare minimum. 20 would be better, 32 would be much better, 40, 64, as much as you can cram in it would absolutely be better than trying to skate along with just 8 or 12 gigs of RAM. In fact, I couldn't even start this process with just 8 gigs. I had to give it 4 more just so it would rate the host I'm working on now, as even minimally functional. So the host rating thing is actually very useful. It'll prevent you from doing the impossible. Okay, it's now been thinking about this for about 45 minutes. It's been stuck at this stage at the customized virtual machine stage right here for the best part of 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video right now, and if it comes back, great. If it finishes, okay. I might actually have to throw this one away and start over because the way it hung up and the way I had to pause the whole thing might have compromised the whole process. So hopefully I won't have to restart this, but if so, okay. It may just be a good lesson to not try to make these things do too much.